Hello, Boise State!
President Obama makes his first visit to Idaho since he was on the campaign trail. After speaking in front of a large crowd at Boise State University, he is now gearing up to leave the Treasure Valley. Thanks for watching KBOI 2 News at First at 4. I'm Natalie Hurst. Jacqueline Powell is live at the Boise airport where the president will be taking off on Air Force One. She's getting ready. But first, let's go to Brent Hensaker with more on what the president had to say.
Good afternoon, Natalie. It was a kind of a recap, perhaps, of last night's State of the Union address. Yes, he touched on some of the same themes that he talked about last night before Congress. But today, this was a speech peppered with references to Boise and Boise State University, to the football team. A lot of metaphors about football were shared today by the president, and that really wowed the crowd here. All of them obviously motivated to be here to hear their president, but very appreciative of the fact that he knew who they were and knew of some of the accomplishments that they have achieved here at Boise State. One of the themes, of course, that he touched on again today was the focus on the middle class, what he calls, as you can see on the banner behind me, behind where the president spoke, middle class economics. He says that the middle class just isn't getting enough of the fair break that it needs to be invested in, that families need credits for child care, and that families would also be helped by his plan to have 2 years of free community college to those students who are willing to work for it. Now, all of that comes with a price tag. It's to be paid by closing what he called tax loopholes on big corporations, and also by taxing the super rich. One of the ways he wants to do that is by increasing the capital gains tax. But let's listen into some of what he had to say about his middle class economy.
But as I said last night, now we've got to choose what future we want. Are we going to accept an economy where only a few of us do spectacularly well? Or can we commit ourselves to an economy that generates rising incomes and opportunities for everybody who's willing to try hard?
That was one of the big applause lines this afternoon, talking about, do we want an economy that just favors the few, referencing recent economic data that has showed that in this recovery, while middle class salaries have continued, median salaries have continued to drop, that those who have benefited have been what President Obama referred to as the super rich. One of the many things that he said today that resonated with this audience. Now, as you pointed out, Natalie, this isn't the first time that President Obama has been to Boise. The last time was before he was president. He was actually on the campaign trail. Scott Logan, my colleague, was there. Tell us about that first visit.
Right, that was back in February of 2008, and he was running for president. He was a relatively unknown Democratic underdog, and it was surprising to many of us that he would come to Idaho, such a strong Republican state, but he certainly brought out a large crowd at Taco Bell Arena with his hopeful message of change. U.S. Senator Barack Obama of Illinois came to Boise in February 2008 as an underdog Democratic candidate for president, and he quickly played on the success of the Boise State football team.
Some were quite skeptical of my prospects, the same way that folks were skeptical of Boise State. The Broncos.
Back then, some estimated as many as 15,000 people jammed Taco Bell Arena. Candidate Obama promised an improved economy, affordable health care, better education, and an end to the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Above all, he offered change.
You and I together, we will remake this country and we will remake the world. Thank you, Idaho.
America has changed under President Obama, the country's first black president, but supporters and critics still argue if the change is for the better or worse. Many believe he helped guide the country to better economic times. Combat operations in both Iraq and Afghanistan have ended. In 2011, Obama ordered the raid in Pakistan that killed Osama bin Laden. When Obama was inaugurated in 2009, gay marriage was legal in only 2 states. Now it's legal in 24 states. In 2010, Congress passed the president's signature Affordable Care Act, which remains the most controversial political issue in the land. President Obama is no longer an unknown quantity. Some argue he's too passive, indecisive, almost aloof. But as a lame duck president, Obama wields his veto power defiantly and suggests he plans not to go gentle into that good night. And Brent, some of our viewers are wondering why this time around the president was speaking in a smaller venue. One Idaho Democratic Party official says that that's because this time around he is president. He's spending less time on the ground in this visit, and of course the security prefers a smaller venue that's much easier to control and supervise.
And of course, tonight there's a BSU basketball game too over at Taco Bell, so that
That's
might
right.
be another reason for it. Scott, thank you very much. Just a couple of my favorite football analogies from the president today. First, he said that I'm in the fourth quarter of my presidency, but alluding to a lot of past Broncos victories. Exciting things can happen in the fourth quarter. One other thing he said, acknowledging that Idaho is a predominantly Republican state, he says about the only blue we see around here is on your field, referring over to Albertson Stadium. Natalie, back to you.
All right, thank you, Brent. We'll be checking back in with them throughout the hour. Well, in the next hour, the president is expected to take off on Air Force One from the Boise airport area. That is where we find Jacqueline Powell. You watched the president come in earlier today.
I did, Natalie, and right now we're waiting for him to arrive to depart. You can see Air Force One is behind me back here. It's been here since the president arrived earlier. And earlier, we were live as he arrived and as his plane landed. Mayor Dave Beater came in with him. They both flew in from Washington, D.C. Beater was at a mayor's conference in Washington, D.C. and got to ride in with President Obama. When he arrived, the president was greeted by Lieutenant Governor Brad Little and a crowd of service members. We caught up with several of the service members who got to talk to him, shake his hand. They said they were very honored that he thanked them for their service. And it was just a great time that they got to be with the president and be thanked by the president. As I mentioned, we are still out here on the tarmac. We're waiting, expecting him any time now. We're watching out and watching to the right of me for his motorcade to come through and bring him up. And if you look behind me, you can see everybody is ready. They're just standing there at Air Force One, ready for his arrival, ready to take him on to Kansas. Natalie, back to you.
All right, Jackie, again, thank you for that live report. She's out by Gowan Field. The wife of a Boise pastor imprisoned in Iran sat down with the president during today's visit. Naghmeh Abedini hopes she made a long-lasting impression on the president and that he saw her family's human side. We will hear more from Naghmeh later on in our newscasts. Meanwhile, we should mention also that a Free Saeed rally took place outside of Kavin Williams Complex today. As you can see, Saeed Abedini has been jailed for more than 2 years in Iran for practicing Christianity. Well, Idaho's delegation is speaking out. We heard from them first last night after the State of the Union address. Senator Jim Risch criticized the White House for pursuing sanctions relief for Iran while Abedini is imprisoned.
But use some compassion. Help Mrs. Abedini and those two little kids. Let's get this guy home. He's got no business being in jail in Iran simply because he's a Christian and was over there doing Christian kinds of things.
Senator Risch was testifying for the Senate Foreign Relations Committee earlier this morning. Well, hundreds of people were unable to get tickets to this event, but that didn't keep them from finding a place to watch the president. Glenn Beebe was with the crowd in the Student Union. Glenn.
Yeah, Natalie, students tell us they either couldn't get tickets or they had classes that they just couldn't miss. But they say that just knowing that he was here on campus while they watched him on TV was still pretty amazing. Several students sat here for hours as they watched Air Force One land and then waited around to see the president speak. Students say they like that he's highlighting the university and they realize what a historic event this is.
Everybody's saying it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and unfortunately I don't get to see him, but being able to know he's here is really cool.
Whitaker says the president's plan for free community college is very interesting to students. She notes that the cost of higher education and debt is one of the things students worry about the most. And the students here seemed very interested in the president's speech. Some tell us that they weren't overly impressed. They seemed like he used a lot of stuff that he used in his State of the Union, but several others told us that they like what he had to say and they hope that he will follow through on it. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Glenn. Well, as you can imagine, the line into Kevin Williams was huge. Thousands braved the cold this morning, waiting in line before sunrise to see the president speak. The first person in line told KBOI TV she was there since 2 a.m. People behind her started showing up more like 4 o'clock. Heavy coats, blankets, and coffee were a familiar sight in line as people waited to get inside.
I'm from the Midwest, so I knew to bring my scarf, and then I have blankets, pillows, we have a bunch of different snacks, so we're ready to be out here all day.
And she says this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that she just did not want to miss out on. Well, you know, a local florist was asked to do floral arrangements for the president's visit. He says it was a lifelong dream come true.
You know, if you were to take up every adjective to describe being giddy or euphoric and chew them up and spit them out, I don't think that it would truly accurately describe this entire experience.
William Heater's floral art was in front of the president while he spoke. The owner of Flowers at Will says it was an honor to be asked to do those arrangements.
To me and to us, this isn't a Republican or Democrat thing. I truly believe that this is about me, it's about us, it's about business owners, American citizens. That I've got a man that, you know, right now is standing up for us, for equality.
And he says he picked neutral colors for the arrangements so the Boise State colors and the president could really shine. Mayor Beater caught a ride with the president on Air Force One this afternoon. The mayor has been in Washington, D.C. for a conference with other U.S. mayors. Now, he traveled back to Boise with the president on Air Force One. He is returning to the nation's capital this evening on a commercial flight. We are continuing our coverage of the presidential visit at 5:30 and at 10. We will have more highlights from his visit and reactions to his remarks. Plus, you can always find the latest on KBOI2.com.